That's like
Tell us something good.
We had 2 open houses this weekend, and we had over 50 people at both of them.
2 open houses, over 50 people at both of them. Good. Any offers received yet?
We got an offer on one of them, and we'll probably be under contract.
That is awesome. Good, good. Who else? Kevin.
We have more than that.
Our $1.4 million listing went live Friday, and although we don't have an offer, we're getting good traction in there. So that's been positive.
Awesome. That is positive. Our Zoomers, something good from your side? Share something good with us.
Anthony, I will share.
Yeah, please.
Anthony Crawford, speak up. You're on Zoom. Tell us how many offers you got on your very first listing.
I know I got at least 15. I'm actually on my way over to the seller's house now to print them all out and go over them. We had a very great turnout over at the open house Saturday and Sunday. And we have a really, really strong offer that I'm advising her to sign today. So hopefully we'll be under contract by the end of the day.
Awesome. Anthony, my listing forever in your favor.
21,000 over asking price.
Wow. That is awesome. Fantastic. Goody. We have birthdays coming up. Ming, Katie, Deb Martino, Jean Bramblett, and Evie. Happy birthday, folks. May it be an abundantly blessed year. May it be your best year ever. Happy birthday. Hip hip. Hooray! There we go. And now we're celebrating our cappers. We have Rushanda. We have Jeff Marshall and Jessica Schulte. Congratulations on capping, all of you. That is amazing. Awesome. Always lovely and so excited to celebrate our cappers. Now, Mrs. Susan Brown, are you on the call? Talk to us about Key Please. I know exciting things happening and more training sessions at this stage. We have the 21st of this, okay, well, that's past the 5th of May and the 12th of May between 12 and 1 p.m. The Key Please training. Who of you guys have downloaded the app yet? It's ready. Download the app. Get yourself going on that if you're going to utilize this magnificent app. It is available. Susan, are you there? I can't see anything. Good. Let's move on. Maybe Susan will join us a bit later. Coach Terry.
Yes.
And our lovely head turner this week, Michelle Morales. Excited to hear what you guys are going to share with us.
Oh my goodness, Michelle has a lot to share. She really does. And first of all, Michelle, I just want to thank you so much for being here with us today, and the willingness to share your journey means so much to me and everyone else. I'm sure that you've got a lot that you can share that people are going to learn from. So thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, I started our first time that you and I met to determine whether you wanted to get in coaching or not was at the end of 2019. I think it was December, right before Christmas. And then so our first coaching session was January of 2020. And then we all know what happened after that. But how long have you been in the business, first of all?
Well, I've been in business for 17 years. And as what's a little louder, talk louder. Where's the mic at?
The mic is actually up right up there, that hole.
Okay. So it's 17 years that I've been into the business.
Okay, 17 years. And how many transactions did you do the first year? Do you remember?
Oh, the first year was, of course, when I got my license, it was the beginning of the down market. And so I probably got like 8 transactions. And in that time, I was the top agent in our office at 8 transactions. I'm like going, God, if people do only 8 transactions, they're really not making a lot of money, So it was really an eye opener for me at that time.
Okay, all right. And if you could do your first year over again, what would you do differently?
I wouldn't have done anything differently because I think I needed to know that I didn't know what I wasn't supposed to be doing. And I just door knocked, called people, I was aggressive. And if I would have known what the other agents did, I would have never done what I did differently than they did to make
Gotcha.
me where I was.
Good. All right. So one of the reasons that Michelle came to me was because she had big goals that she wanted to reach for 2020. So how many goals do you remember putting down on paper that you wanted to hit?
There were 5 big goals, and I was also reaching those golden years, and I'm looking at Terry and I'm like going, this is my whole picture, you know, everybody's picture is different. I was reaching of the age and looking at how many more years do I have to work, and then how many more years do I have left to pay off what I am obligated for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what was so important about reaching your goals?
Well, because, you know, once you beyond those goals of not being able to attain it, it's like, what's the burden that I leave to my kids or to my husband, God forbid, and the demise of. And that's where my mind was going. It was in the demise of, you know.
The demise of,
Mhm.
okay. And so a lot of mindset work
Mhm.
had to be done, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so now year to date, how many goals have you hit?
Well, thank you for your help and assistance. And I would say I have reached 4 of my big goals, and I have 1 big goal left.
And that one big goal, though, I have to say this one big goal that she has left, it has gone from this to this. So, and we're not only talking about business goals here, we're also talking about personal goals, right?
Correct.
So, okay.
Correct. And you know, I think what a lot has to do with it is through the years, I have been on several ALC boards, and I just want to bring this for all agents in their attention as we are business people individually. And what ALC has done for me in the past years is forced each one of us as agents to have a profit and loss statement, know how to read your profit and loss statement, share your profit and loss statement, and express what is your profit, what is your loss, and how did you get there, right? And that's part of what ALC is supposed to teach you to do. And through that, I did it. Did I know how to read it? Did I know how to really process it? But I tell you what really did it for me, and the whole mind shift, is when COVID hit. And we had to then say, are you eligible for this PPP program? Well, what was this PPP program? Okay, Gene Rolfe had this, you know, seminar, we talked with the CPA, and some agents pay themselves through a payroll and some of them don't. And I was one of those that didn't. I didn't know why I wasn't, but I was a LLC, S Corp, and you know, that whole combination was just so mind-boggling, right? And so this year here, at the end of 2020, reflecting back why I wasn't successful in 2019, my mindset in 2019 says, why do I want to make more money? I have to pay more for taxes. So I'm not going to make more money. And then 2020 hit, and we had that conversation and opened up my mind. And you know, it's like you hear the same words over and over again, but you need to hear them for the 50th time, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes on. Well, that's what happened for me. You know, the light bulb actually went on and said, oh my God, you know, this is why I need to be doing. So I set myself up 2020, I paid for, and it just is a mind lifter. I paid for office bills up front, home insurance up front, everything that I could pay up front, I paid for up front, so I don't have that monthly bill coming in. So it made me feel like my goals were being hit because I didn't owe anything. My checkbook didn't have to leave, you know, nothing left my checkbook during those times. And I set myself with ADP, got a nice accountant going. I pay myself, you know, now a W-2, and what a difference. And I'm lined up. So one of my big goals is, I'm sure there's plenty of agents out there on this call that owe IRS. And boy, I tell you, to get that monkey off my back is the biggest goal. That's my big goal. And I'm almost there.
You're almost there. She started here and now she's here.
I'm almost there.
Almost there. I just want to say how proud I am of you for hitting all the goals. Because
Thank
you've
you.
worked really hard to make sure that you hit your goals, and you have, and I know for your mindset, it has definitely relieved you, and not only emotionally, but physically, mentally, and would you say it set yourself free to actually focus on the important things?
It is, and it's knowing that there's accounts that have savings, you know, I mean, there's savings, you know, and I mean, like, there's money in those accounts, you know, and, yes.
So when it set you free to allow you to start focusing on the important things, what was that focus?
Well, the focus, again, was, you know, that debt obligation of each month was always my focus. You know, at the beginning of the month, it's like, oh my God, I need to have so many transactions to do this monthly obligation. And that monthly obligation of that debt was always like, oh my God, can I make it? Can I make it? Can I make it? So I allowed myself to free myself. Those monthly debts aren't there because I paid them ahead, right? And it freed me.
To do what though?
To continue to work and focus on the calls and continue to work with my client relationship and not worry about that conversation of my checkbook, you know, saying how much do I owe?
So I know from working with you what your lead generation techniques are. Oh, I know from working with you what your lead generation techniques are. So tell us how bringing, you know, letting go of those things, tell us how that helped you with your lead generation.
Well, I guess it just being able to just, you know, make the call freely and to know that I'm making the call and not feeling pressured of needing to have that transaction to close because I'm okay, right? And it's a frosting on the cake and it's a glory of, oh my God, it's just more transactions. And you really focus on the client, not so much on the commission.
Right. So did y'all hear that? Focus on the client and not so much the commission, but also it allowed Michelle to focus on more lead generation.
Right.
Okay. So,
Right.
And I know there is never a time, Michelle and I talk every week, and there's never a time when she hasn't hit her goals as far as what she is committed to me to do on a weekly basis. And I've even gotten Michelle to step outside the box and start doing videos. And she does a wonderful job of videos. So I know so many of you say, I can't do video. I don't like the sound of my voice. None of us like the sound of our voice. But you can do it. I mean, you can do it, right?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not that difficult, is it?
No, it's not that difficult, and it's not always about real estate. It's also about your personal relationship, right? So people want to know what's going on. I mean, I've done one about my garden in the front yard, you know, about the dog, you know, that just came into the life. But then you get to the real estate part, and it's then they listen a little, you know, when you do that as well.
Good. So what do you think, you talked earlier a little bit, you mentioned when you first got into the business, it was a down market, right? So how do you compare this market to the market when you first got into business?
You know, it's wow. It's totally different markets. I felt like I had inventory. I felt like I was able to find my buyers something easier because there was inventory. Now, the lack of inventory for the buyers is a little bit more challenging. I don't know that I could mentally in my mind compare the two because they're two different balls.
Completely different, because at the downturn, we had a ton of listings on the market, right? I mean, it was not a seller's market. Buyers could pick and choose, and they could really name their price, right?
Correct.
And now it's completely opposite. The sellers are naming the price, and there's not any inventory. So, but however, you have been able to pivot, right? You've been able to change that mindset and pivot and be able to work with the buyers and get them under contract.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
So what do you contribute your success to to being able to pivot? Because a lot of people just can't pivot on a dime.
Well, I do say that stay in a network with your co-agents, right? So I'm in relationship with several agents in the office, and we have a weekly call and we network together, and it's their mindset. So get with agents that are doing better than you and rub elbows with them. They're better than you. And make sure that you're in relationship, because you feed off of each other. There's times you could feed them and there's times that they feed you. And so with their knowledge and their experience in sharing, it's helped me.
Good.
Yeah, as far as letters that you present and how you present your offer to the buyer's agents.
What do you think are your biggest day-to-day obstacles?
Gosh, just getting up in the morning and just getting all that conversation out of my head and saying, okay, that one there's in my head, it's gone. All right, that one's gone, you know, but everything, I don't know about you guys, but I wake up in the morning and I've got a whole conversation going in my head. And it's like, how do you slow it down? And even though you're supposed to say family, God first, family, I never do it in that order. You know, mine's like all over. I'm like, oh God, where are you today? You know, I'm supposed to put you in here. And it's never in that organized manner. As many times as I've done daily, weekly, calendar, setting times, I drive myself nuts trying to stick to that calendar. As long as I get it in during the day, then my day is done. It may not be in that time block. That's what I was looking for, was a time block. Time blocking that week, time blocking that month, and writing in that goals, conversations, my goals. But to do that 411 and what is that 312?
The 135.
Oh my God, that drives me nuts. I just don't even know how to do it. And I'm, you know, my mind just doesn't want to go there. You know, and yeah, but I get them done.
So what do you do to overcome those obstacles? I mean, how do you go about when your mind is going like this, as soon as you wake up, how do you go about getting them done during the day?
Well, every day you've got to make your calls. You've got to, you know, do your emails and send out the notes. And as long as I get those done in the day, I feel like I'm meeting those goals. So that's what sits with me.
So what I'm hearing for lead generating is calls on a daily basis, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Sending out note cards.
Yes.
Okay. And then I know you also do pop buys.
Yes.
Okay. So Michelle does pop buys, but I also know that she does networking with the Rotary. And
Yes.
what are some of your other networking clubs?
Oh my gosh, I've gotten a lot of business through Rotary, through bowling. I'm on a bowling league, and I can't tell you how many transactions I've gotten through the bowling league. Yeah, and then, you know, I used to be in Power Core for years, and I still am connected with Power Core's relationships that I've made. I'm not in Power Core anymore. But anyway, it's just
What
staying
is that?
connected. Power Core is just a networking group. It's just like BMI, and yeah, it's just, you know, try to get into those right now. Yeah.
Right. So wanted to ask you to explain how you should never give up, even when you think that the transaction is over and it's about to fall apart, and you don't have any communication from the other agent going on. How do you press through that? And tell us about the transaction that just closed last Friday that started back in December.
Yes, that was a very interesting one.
And I want you to tell them how much the buyer paid over.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So listen to your buyer and listen to what they really want. And as I was working with this buyer, we started in December. They had a close proximity from their house that they wanted to live in. They had a certain dollar amount. They had an image in their mind of a house that they wanted. And so there was this house on the market. We put in an offer. It was listed at $850. We finally, through negotiations, inspection and all, agreed at $785. We came to the closing table. We thought we were going to the closing table. Just a week before closing, we found out that the seller was $156,000 shy of paying off his mortgage. So the agent asked if the seller wanted to do a short sale. The attorney was working with us. No, they don't want to do a short sale. So my buyer kept the earnest money in our office, would not let that earnest money go. So we never terminated. It just, the contract wasn't really accurate and live. We were consistent about coming back, and my buyer was being very creative, wanted to buy a car, wanted to do all this kind of stuff to help alleviate the seller's debt. There was just a lot of confusion. The agent on the other end never would communicate with me. I sent emails, I sent text, and it was just really hard for her to respond back to me. So I got Lynn involved. I got Marco involved. I got the whole office involved. My whole office was involved in this transaction. You know, we all knew about my transaction.
And we were all happy for you when you joined.
Yes, we were.
But the agent never responded. And whether you have an answer or you do not have an answer, call that other agent on the other line and just let them know where you are in the loop and don't give up hope, right? And that's all I was asking is for this agent to communicate. So long story short, my buyers wanted to know what the seller needed to close, and they needed to close at $990. So my buyers came out of pocket the difference and paid $990, and we closed. It was a long process. It was mentally draining. I can't tell you the transaction, but my buyers were very persistent. They wanted it. They bought it in the condition of, there was a lot going on in that one.
So the moral of that story to me is if you've got buyers that are that loyal to you, be loyal back to them and just don't give up because, I mean, not giving up and you won.
Yeah.
You won. And the buyers won.
Yeah,
right?
so there's many times that I didn't feel like I was going to win. You know, I'm like going, come on, let's go on to the next property. Let's go on to the next property. And they did not want to give up. They were focused. They wanted that house and they wanted to figure it out. And I realized that their mindset and their cultural background was different than mine. And I got to know a lot about them during this process.
But you created a relationship, and because of your perseverance, they will refer you and refer you and refer you over and over because you took such great care for them. Right. So one last question. What is the best advice that you can give to agents that just got into the business or maybe only been in the business for a year or two?
Set yourself up on a payroll, get yourself lined up, get yourself in an LLC, S Corp, do payroll, pay your taxes upfront. And do not think that that money is all yours. Pay IRS, get them off your back.
Okay, all right.
You never think you have time. You always think you've got time to get it done, but time flies by and it's gone before you know it.
Yep. At least 30%. You should be saving on the side at least 30% to go to IRS. You know, and to be safe, you should be doing about 35.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're
Michelle. I
welcome.
appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay, sports fans, we are, thank you, Michelle. Boy, we are glad that transaction closed. So training this Thursday, wow. Region is providing 2 opportunities for agents who've been in the business 2 years or less. They're having a mastermind with the rookies of the year in each of the states, going to be on to talk about really going for it. So there is, you do need to register, and this is in the Market Center Internet calendar. You can do it, it's just an hour. No reason anybody shouldn't take advantage of that 9:30 this Thursday. And then in the afternoon, you remember we had an opportunity to get online Zoom with Dr. Brandy. Great personality, tons of information. It was really worthwhile. Well, Region is now getting on board finally and having Dr. Brandy, and that's at 2 o'clock. Again, 1 hour, and she will teach you a few things and it will be very much worth your while. In 2 weeks, we're gonna have another contracts class with Lynn and Renee. That'll be 102 amendments and exhibits. So I'll be talking about that coming up. So.
And then we have some questions in the chat box about the masterminds.
Okay.
So can you just go over what the masterminds are? and
Right.
Who's
Yes.
our win?
Okay, on Wednesdays, 9 o'clock, we have the top 20% mastermind. Top 20%, we recalculate it every month, but it's after Ellie transmits, and she's doing transmittal right now. So it's a free-flowing discussion. We introduce a topic, but anybody that wants to talk about what's happening out there, we have lots of engagement on that one. Thursdays at 9, we have the Capper Mastermind, and that's anybody who has quarter capped, which is about a fourth of your cap. So you all the way up to the top 20%. And again, we have a free-flowing discussion if somebody has needs. So your peers, as well as Marco and I, help you solve your business problems. And then we have a production launch mastermind. We're going back to Wednesdays at 10 for that. And that's folks that are just getting started or restarted. So 30 minutes, but often we run over to 45 minutes.
Absolutely, and we enjoy the masterminds. It's an opportunity, great opportunity for you guys to interact with each other, share how you experience the market, what's happening, identify opportunities, identify challenges, now to overcome them. So thanks for that. Thank you very much, Michelle and Terry. And Yannick, Renee Dillon, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm on delay. I'm Renee Dillon with Gannick PC. Nice to see you all this morning. And I'll chime in on the congratulations to Michelle. We closed that transaction, and Michelle put in the work on it for sure. It was very one-sided on that transaction. I'm very happy for her that it closed last week. So my tip today is about buyers and buyer mailaways. I don't know if y'all have seen it. We've seen a lot of buyers in our office that are not coming to closing. They're still in California or wherever they're moving from. So we are doing buyer mailaways. We are allowed to do buyer mailaways when the buyer is taking a loan out to purchase the property, if the lender allows it. But just a couple of things that have been tripping some transactions up and tripping some people up. These days, most of the lenders want the buyers to sign the documents on the day of closing, the date that is printed on the document. So what does that mean? They're in California signing their docs on May the 4th, closing date's May the 4th, sellers coming in today to sign, but we can't fund until tomorrow when we receive those documents back. It's caused a lot of issues with sellers who didn't really realize that this was the case, some issues for agents. So just be aware that that's how we're handling the buyer mailaways. And that's pretty much across the board. It's a lender requirement. They used to let the packages get signed, days before closings, but all the investors have really cracked down on that. So now it is a day of signature. So just let us know ahead of time if your buyer does need a mail away, if your buyer's not going to be at closing. Once again, it feels like sellers are getting ready to list their house and leaving the country, and buyers are, all over the place and not getting to Georgia in time for their closing. So we can work with anything as long as we have enough advance notice, and we will help them find a place to sign. They still need to sign at an attorney's or title company office in order to get those signatures done. So just let us know if that is the case for y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Any questions for Renee? Any of our Zoomers? Thank you very much, Renee.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah. Can you just repeat that, please?
Yes, this is Rochelle, and I have a question. So the owner is in Washington, D.C., but the owner's agent is in Georgia. Will I need to use the buyer mail-away form or procedure?
Are you saying the owner of the property, the one that's selling the property?
Yes.
It's going to be sort of the same thing. So we can still do some virtual closings, but only if the person is located within the state of Georgia, which seems sort of useless at this point. So if the seller is out of state, we'll do a mail away for them as well, or get them to sign a power of attorney, whichever is easier.
Thank you. We've already started the power of attorney process. I didn't know that could be used, but thank you so much.
No problem. And just quickly too, with the powers of attorneys and mail-aways, if you have parties that are out of the country and you know they're going to be out of the country, it is really, really difficult for people to get appointments with notaries and embassies right now. So if you know that your buyer or seller is not going to be in the country for a closing, you need to start that process with them very early on, getting a power of attorney or lining up appointments. I had somebody who was in Dubai and couldn't get an appointment until June for their May closing, and this was a couple of weeks ago. So just be mindful of it. Talk to us as soon as you know that there's an issue, and we can help y'all get it all situated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Paul, Mr. Randy Lip, Matt Lip, and Paul Bryan, certainly home loans, and with us this morning. Matt, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Good to see you.
Third time's a charm, Matt.
Yeah.
Third time's a charm. Not Matt Lip or Matt Ryan.
Yeah, with the
It looks like I guessed and wore the right color this morning.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the introduction. Matt Lip with Certainty Home Loans. I wanted to share something that happened to me last week. So I've been in the business for almost 6 years now, and I had a first. I had a client get upset that an appraisal came in at their sales price. So, I mean, we all know how crazy it is. Got to get stuff under contract. You know, people are overbidding, you know, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 over. This particular scenario was, their goal was, let's get it under contract, go as high as we can. And then once the appraisal comes in, it'll come in low and we can renegotiate from there. Well, it didn't. So my advice is, you know, if you've got buyers that are going aggressive, you know, make sure that they are willing to pay what they are saying they are willing to pay. Yes.
So are most appraisals coming in at, or how much less are they coming in?
I just got one in this morning that was $10,000 low, 200 purchase. That one I was talking about a minute ago was, I think, in the mid threes. Same kind of, actually almost the same kind of scenario. I had one, it's under contract now. It was listed at 815. They went in at 825. It appraised for 835. But yeah, just make sure that if they're saying, if they're putting on the contract that they're willing to pay X amount, don't always plan on, oh, the appraisal will come in low and we can renegotiate from there, because it might not. Appraisers are taking sometimes extra days to search for other comps to try and get that value. So that was the first. Never had somebody get upset about an appraisal.
Sign of the times.
So,
Sign of the times.
but yeah, looking forward to Red Day, and I think I'll be doing soon an in-person training on a Thursday.
Cool.
So get back to doing that.
Yeah, I canceled your training on Red Day.
Thanks.
Just figured you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But thanks, guys. If you got any questions in the chat or anybody,
Will you remind them that you have a standing,
yes.
I mean, to the,
Thursdays from noon until like 12:40, because I'm too cheap to buy a premium Zoom account, so I use the free one. Usually do it Thursdays. So we'd like Mortgage 101, Mortgage 102, renovation loans, credit, and then I'm open for ideas or suggestions on what you guys would like to hear or learn about too. So
is there a meeting this Thursday then?
I'll do a, I don't know if I'm gonna do it in person this Thursday, but I'll have there'll be a Zoom link.
There'll be a Zoom this.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Good one.
12 to like
12 to
12:45.
12:40.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Thank you, Mr. Matlip. And now, Mr. Charlie Lockwood. I don't know if you need a crystal ball or if all those years of experience is your crystal ball. Commercial corner, what is happening? What do you see happening in the market? Charlie, please share with us.
Well, that's a very good question, Marco, because commercial, we are very conscious of what's going on in the economy and also what's going on with employment. So I have got a screen I'd like to share with you today that was This is an article from the Wall Street Journal of this past week. Let me get this cleared out of here. And 10 signs things are getting better or back to normal. And this is based on a lot of different surveys, and I'm going to try to do this as a screen. Let's see. Well, we'll do it this way. Mainly because 56% of the US population has had at least one shot of the vaccine, according to the CDC, and 44% have had 2 shots. And that's creating a lot of momentum in the marketplace. So some of the signs that things are back to normal, first of all, movie theaters are opening, and the monster turnout for Godzilla versus Kong was about $48 million, way up from any opening that had happened previously. Another is Major League Baseball has fans that are back in the stands. And as most of you know, the Braves had 20,000 people in the stand last week, and they will have a full house coming up at the end of this week when they come home. They will be fully occupied. They will have some rules about what they want you to do coming into the stadium, but they will have full seating. Some of the big trade shows have returned to Las Vegas. One of 60,000 people is scheduled for June. Most of you know that Disney World in Florida had reopened on a limited basis, but Disneyland in California did open this past week and was operating at between 15 and 35% of normal level. And this is a good sign because California has had one of the most restrictive sets of COVID-19 stay at home or hunker down in place rules. Another sign is airlines are booking middle seats. Delta was the last to do it, but they have started booking middle seats on their airplanes, which is another good sign. Hotel rooms are filling up. In the US, overall occupancy reached up 58.9% during the week of March 14th, which is way up from what it was previously. Concerts are being rebooked, and everybody ought to be happy about that. Friends reunion is finally being taped. But for Atlanta, this is a symbol of the film and TV production that is coming back very strong. Tyler Perry's studios out at the Fort Mac location are booked solid through the end of the year. So that's a $10 billion with a B industry that is now reactivating here in Georgia. But let's see, indoor dining is ramping up. Many of you know that even some restaurants that have been doing indoor dining have been restricting their occupancy to 50%. And you go into a restaurant and you see all these empty tables and they say it'll be a 30-minute wait. Well, most of those will be now back at full occupancy. And tourism is back, like in the Big Apple. This was an article in the Wall Street Journal, and they were talking about what was going on in New York, but that's also true in Atlanta. But there are 2 indications that we have a way to go. And what might those be? Well, one is people are still working at home. And for Atlanta, this is a big concern. Not only are people working at home, but a lot of people who went home without a paycheck have not been told that they have a job. So we're going to talk about that in just a second. Another thing that is pretty much dead in the water, no pun intended, are cruises. We all know that cruises had been a source of infection for various diseases previous to COVID-19. And so there is a great suspicion that they need to be back we need to have herd immunity before cruise ships can be active again. I know I saw a news item where crews and staff for cruise ships are now getting vaccinated in anticipation of reactivating those cruises. Well, I said one of the things we get concerned about is employment. Here's a chart showing employment of Metropolitan Atlanta. And if you look at the left-hand margin, add 3 zeros to each of those numbers. In other words, we had gotten up to almost 2.9 million. And then in March and April of last year, it fell off a cliff. And here is a more, this shows you in a tighter sequence. This is from the beginning of 2019 through the first 3 months of this year. And that was quite a dip. In fact, if you look at the numbers, this is total farm employment produced by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We start in January a year ago, we had 2.858 million. We got some background noise there from somebody. Okay, 2.858 million in January a year ago. It dropped by April to 2.486, and this is in a 29 county area of Georgia. It's recovered to 2.728 in March of this year, but if you look at the amount that it dropped 372,000 jobs. Right now, at the end of March, we were still negative 130,000, but we had recovered 65% of the jobs that were lost. Now, and quickly, I want to look at 3 categories, and these are categories specified by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The first is trade, transportation, and utilities. 606,000 jobs as of January a year ago. It's our largest component in the 29 county area. Of course, we have Delta headquarters here. Norfolk Southern is big here and will move their corporate headquarters here when they open their new building this coming year. Southern Company is located here. That's the parent of Georgia Power Company. And of course, we have many others in that category. The largest employment segment, and it dropped by 67,000 jobs. We've recovered to the point where 17,000 are still not filled, which was a 74% recovery. Another area of concern is professional and business service. 550,000 jobs. We lost 53,000. We've recovered to the point where only 16,000 are still unemployed, and that's a 69% recovery. But 16,000 jobs is the equivalent of 4 million square feet of office space. Now, and in addition to that, we have an awful lot of people who are still working from home with a paycheck as opposed to being at home without a paycheck. That's what these 16,000 are. And so our biggest concern in commercial real estate is what's going to happen in the office market. Leisure and hospitality, just under 300,000 jobs, and they took a huge hit. They dropped 130,000 jobs. We're back to the point where we're still down almost 52,000, which is a 60% recovery. But unfortunately, this is a category which includes hotels, motels, and restaurants, where a lot of the employees are those at lower wage levels. And that's the biggest component of still unfilled jobs. As you see here, 52 versus any of the others in current status. So a little update on that. But again, office is our biggest concern because we think working at home will become more of a predominant type of work, even though there may be hybrids of people going to the office 2 and 3 days a week, to where we may have what we call hoteling, something the accounting industry started some years ago, where you don't actually have a desk or a cubicle assigned to you on a permanent basis, but you phone ahead and say, I'll be in the office Monday and Tuesday, and they provide you with a desk or cubicle, but it will reduce the total amount of space that any employer will have if they use that hybrid type method. So that's it from commercial for today.
Charlie, I have a
Okay.
question.
Yes, question.
Last week you mentioned, and I missed it, and I want you to re-go over the legislation eliminating the 1031. Is that happening? Is that on the table? Where is that?
Okay, that is on the table in the sense that, 1031 allows you to sell an investment property, not your personal residence, but an investment property, and take the capital of the funds and reinvest them in another investment property and transfer the basis from the first property. Let me stop the share and I'll come back on the screen. Now, when you do that, you can, if that basis is low, that basis transfers to a new property. And that's the only category now that still is qualified is real estate. Personal property is no longer available for 1031. They used to be able to trade trucks, airplanes, art, coins. That's a whole variety of personal property, but none now. The Biden administration has said that they want to consider eliminating 1031 on real estate. There are many aspects. They're talking about eliminating stepped up basis so that when you die, your heirs get the property at the new value without paying capital gains on it. They're talking about various other forms of taxing. We'll see. It's up for debate. If that is a long answer to the question.
Any other questions for Charlie, folks? Charlie, this has been very, very informative. Thank you for that invaluable information, and thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. Now, next up, renew, energize, donate. I will never forget my first Red Day. It was shortly after I bought the Keller Williams franchise, and we had our official opening, and there were so many things that we had to do, especially follow the model, implement the model, and getting that model up and running. And then we had Red Day. And I must confess today, I arrived there with the wrong attitude. How can they expect me to put aside a full day when I need to go and implement the model that everybody's talking about? I just didn't have the time. We have to do this, and I didn't have the time. Halfway through the day, my attitude started changing. At the end of the day, I felt ashamed because I arrived with that attitude, and I realized, and I was humbled by that experience, what a privilege it is to give back to our communities. And the renew and the energize, well, that most certainly happened to me, being in a position to be able to donate. So Red Day is coming up May 13th. Rebecca, tell us more about what's happening. What do we have planned? Share.
We're very, very excited. Oh, goodness. Yes, Stacy's demonstrating what we're doing for Red Day. So can everybody see and hear me on Zoom? Yes? Wave if you can see and hear me.
Yes,
Hey, hi, everybody. Okay, pop quiz. When is Red Day?
May 13th.
May 13th. When is May 13th?
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. So not like in a couple days, but 1 week from Thursday. That's Red Day. What are we doing for Red Day?
We're playing cornhole.
We're playing cornhole, dang it. It's gonna be really fun. We're gonna get together, we're gonna have a cookout, we're playing cornhole, it's gonna be great. Where are we doing this? Chamblee Methodist Church. That is right up the road. We'll have the address so you can just, you know, GPS there. Why are we doing Red Day? We are collecting donation goods for Solidarity Sandy Springs. I'm so glad that I went right after Charlie, because all of this unemployment, everything that's going on with people losing their jobs means that we have the chance to make a really big impact for people who don't have a way to fill their pantries at home. Solidarity Sandy Springs is a local food pantry with other essential items. We want to gather as many of these items as we possibly can to make an impact on our local community. So there is a list of all the things that they need, the things that they need the most. They're all on this list. It's all around the office, and it's also going out through email. During your grocery shopping this week, if you could pick up some of these items, bring them to the cookout on Thursday next week, have a burger, play some cornhole, make a big impact for the people who have been affected more in a more extreme way during the pandemic. One last thing, if you want to be really legit and really, really cool, you can form a team for cornhole. If not, you can kind of just show up and just, toss the beam at whatever. I'm particularly counting on Brad and Kevin to form some kind of a team. I don't know, I have my hopes up about it.
We haven't come up with our prize yet.
I know
but
it.
We are gonna have a prize.
I think we're gonna have a
for
prize,
the
yeah.
winners.
Yes. Obviously wear red. If you have a Red Day t-shirt from years past, please wear that. If not, we do still have some on hand. We are creating a suggested donation for the t-shirts. If you don't have a Red Day t-shirt, please get one, but it's kind of a donation basis. We're a suggested donation of $10. It will go towards the Red Day Fund to make, for Solidarity Sandy Springs and the Red Day event. Those are here. If you need a Red Day t-shirt, you can email me or show up over here. If any of you Zoomers have any questions, please contact me at the front desk or any of our culture committee people. We can't wait to see you on Red Day.
Did you mention the Eventbrite?
Oh,
And why it's important?
Thank you. Yeah, an Eventbrite invitation went out last week to everybody in the office. It's kind of like it's a way for us to get a head count for who all is coming to Red Day. That already went out. If you could
We'll
that.
do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again. But if you can dig that up in your email and click register if you're going to be there on Thursday, that would be great. So we have an idea of how many people are going to be there. And yeah, any questions? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, it's
we're
like
excited.
a get together, enjoyable for the office, in person,
Yes.
outside.
Here's a handout.
Oh, and I heard that the church has a pickleball court inside their gym.
Yeah.
And pickleball rackets, so
all kinds
there
of
could
good
be
stuff.
some pickleball going on.
Yeah.
Awesomeness. We're looking forward to seeing everyone there. As I said, what a privilege to be able to give back and renew your own energy through that. So that is basically the end of the meeting. The last thing coming up, what have you got on the buyer side? What have you got on the listing side? Talk to us. Mr. Frost, what's happening?
We got a bunch coming up in May and early June. Duluth Ranch with a basement for around $375. Sandy Springs over near Spalding Elementary School, 2-story with a basement, $575. Woodstock, a 3-2 split for about $250. East Cobb Cedar Contemporary, $350. We got a townhome in Dunwoody for $310 coming up. So a lot going on over here.
That's about 5 that you just said. 5, 6 that you showed. That's amazing.
I didn't mention 2 or 3 others.
Yeah, that's amazing. We need to increase our listing goals.
I'm telling you.
That is awesome. Thanks for sharing, Kevin. Who else? Fire needs? What have you got?
Marco, we've got a new listing coming on. Pictures are today, hopefully, between the raindrops. It's coming on in River Oaks in Sandy Springs off of Spalding. It's listed for $1.249. It has 6 bedrooms, 5 baths and 2 half baths, but mainly it has a wonderful new spa bath in the master. It's got a master on the main, and the kitchen has been recently updated. Gorgeous house, really, really pretty house on a beautiful lot as well.
Thank you very much, RJ.
I have a listing coming up in Mableton. It's a 3-2 ranch. It's going to be around 345 John Whitland home. We're not doing the photos till June, but I could always get someone in earlier if I needed to.
Awesome. What else? Fire needs? Lots of bio needs. Well, if that's it, thank you very much. Thank you for everyone attending in the training room. Thank you to all our Zoomers. Have a lovely day. Have a blessed week. See you next week again.